Thank you, Hannah. You make it sound like it's a lot of money when you say $500,000. It's just 500,000 US dollars. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kelvin, CEO and co-founder of MeQasa Limited. If you don't know MeQasa.com, it's a real estate marketplace. So what we do is we work with developers, landlords, and real estate agents to market their property online. So if you're a seeker and you're looking for a house to rent or buy, all you have to do is go to the site and then you browse through options and then connect to whoever represents the property. And then you can find, rent, or buy a house if you want to. And if you need any assistance, then we can offer offline, supports as well. So that's what we do. But just to put a context to how we raise the funds, I think it would make sense to speak a little bit about my background and how I met my co-founders and how we gave back to the site, MeQasa.com. So somewhere 7-8 years ago, I think I was in my second year in the university, I was trying to start 2 companies. One of them is, I think it was an internet cafe. Yeah, it sounds, right now, it doesn't sound like it's a good business, but back then, internet was a big deal. I used to live around Trade Fair, close to La Palm Royal Beach and then Labadi Beach. And so I was interacting with a lot of the expats and the foreigners who came out of the hotel. And one of the common, burdens was that internet there was very expensive, it wasn't reliable, and they didn't think it made sense to pay that much amount. But then the problem was the closest internet was like 2 kilometers away, the closest internet cafe, and they didn't mind walking to that distance. So I said, okay, why don't I, find resources, find friends who could either give me a container or provide me a LAN. So we co-host and co-share, this business. At the same time, there was another problem I wanted to solve. I realized that a lot of the students who graduated from senior high school didn't make it to the university. Of course, there are options available. You could, register to a remedial school and then get or better your grades and then make it to the university. But then some of these schools were very expensive. So we said, why don't we niche the market? Why can't we use our resources? I'm a science student. I'm good at maths. I'm good at chemistry. There's probably medical students who is also very good at biology and some other course. And then there are other business students who are good at other courses who need to raise funds to support their education at the university. So I just, I spoke to a few friends who were interested. I spoke to a medical student. I spoke to a master's student who was doing accounting. He loved the idea. At that time, he was unemployed, so probably that's one of the reasons why he wanted to do the business. So I was doing these 2 businesses when I saw an advert to apply to MEST. MEST is an entrepreneurial school where their main goal is to pick students or graduates who are interested in building businesses in software, train them, and then give them funding if possible. So I saw the ad, and then I thought that, okay, this is a new opportunity that I want to venture. So I applied to the school. I was doing my national service then. I applied to the school, and luckily I was selected amongst, I think, 700 people. So I started MES somewhere around 2011. And they took us through 2 years of training in software, how to build software, how to communicate the software to customers, how to make a business out of the software, and then eventually how to pitch to investors to raise funds. So in the process, you do what we call a capstone project. So we did different ideas. We worked on ideas, we worked on the market, we worked on customer acquisition, how to make money out of those ideas. And then the final year, you get to select one idea and then pitch to the CEO of MES, which is Yon. So we were going through a lot of the capstone ideas we did in the past, and then we realized that, okay, there were so many factors why we didn't move with some of those ideas. One is probably the market. One is, customers weren't educated enough to pay for a service like that, even though the pain was there. So we said, okay, what are the real problems? What other problems are local and real, and other businesses are investing in other markets? So we narrowed down to real estate. And at the time, when I completed university, I wanted to rent a single room myself. I had a small budget, so I shared with my co-founders. I had 2 co-founders. I shared with them, I'm like, this is the problem I face. I don't know if it's a problem of 1,000 people, but then let's go out there and investigate. Let's speak with seekers. Let's speak with expatriates. Let's become real estate agents ourselves to see whether this is a big problem, to even spend time investing in and solving. So we did that for, I think, 2-3 months. I was a real estate agent myself, The system doesn't prevent you to become a real estate agent, unfortunately. So you can just get up and just have a name and call yourself a real estate agent. So I learned a lot. I built a lot of relationship with these agents, and I understood the core problem. Because sometimes when you give a distance and you send a survey or you call them on the phone, they may communicate different problems to you. But then if you are part of the problem, if you are part of the solution, or if you are part of the day-to-day activity of these agents, you understand where the problem is coming from. And then you can pick those problems and create great values for them as well. So we pitched this to our investor. He liked the idea. He understood that the market was there, even though eventually, Ghana is not like a big market. But then the aim was to, start this business and then be the number one market share leader, or, number one market leader in the space. So we asked for $90,000 2 years ago. That was, I think, August 2013. And then he gave us that. So we'll be running with that for, I think, 1.5 years. When I started having a chat with some other investors, I had a chat with a Nigerian investor, I had a chat with a Ghanaian investor as well. Mainly because, marketplace businesses are chicken and egg problems. You are serving two markets. People who want to sell or rent their properties, and then people looking for properties to rent. So seekers and agents in that sense. Before you can actually monetize, there's a lot. You have to create a lot of value. So you have to keep burning a lot of money, to get to that stage and say, okay, now, data shows that you are giving a lot of value to agents, or you have gathered a lot of data to monetize through that data. So we were at a point where we weren't ready to generate money internally. So we had to look for options because we're burning a lot of money. The $90 was small money. If you break that down for, I think, over 1.5 years, it will give an idea how much you were spending a month. Probably $3,000, $4,000 a month. That's a really, really small money, to spend in marketing and other expenses. So luckily for me, I didn't do a lot of chasing of investors. I got an email from Frontier, who are headquartered in Malaysia, and said, hey, Kelvin, we've been following for a while. We want to start a conversation with you, and this is what we do. We invest in businesses, blah, 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 and all of that. But then usually, first conversations with investors are like dating. It's you meet a girl, you want to get to know the girl, and then you have, you see some traits, and you feel like, this relationship can't hold, and then you back off, right? So I didn't really take it seriously. So we had our first call. I didn't get a chance to speak with the main CEO, which is Sean. Usually they have what we call analysts. Investors have analysts. So they do the initial conversation with you, the CEO or the entrepreneur. So they have specific questions they ask. Of course, they want to know if the CEO understands the market very well, whether you've made mistakes, why you chose certain parts, and what are the learnings in this part that you chose, So they just want to more like probe you and investigate and see, your knowledge base, your expertise base, and your local knowledge as well in the market. So hopefully we passed that stage, and then they said, okay, they were comfortable. Now they want to move me to the CEO, who manages the whole venture capital of Frontier. So I had a chat with Sean twice. The first, again, was to also reassess what the analyst conveyed or sent to him. So he was also satisfied with that. And then the second call was when they gave us the initial offer. So basically, the initial offer is simple. We want to invest in your company. Go back and come back and come and tell us how much you need to win this market. How much do you need? How much do you want to burn till you start making revenue and to the time that you win the market? And winning the market means you have to have more content than any leader in terms of vertical or horizontal. So I'm referring to Lamudi, Tonaton, OLX, and all of that. And again, the audience aspect, you need to have more traffic than ideally the vertical. So direct competitors, Lamudi. So we went back and then we did all our financial projections, which every company does, every startup does. You do your projections over 2 years, and then you look at how much you'll be burning every month by month, and then you have a buffer for that. And then you come back to the investor and say, okay, this is how much we are asking for. So yes, we reported $500,000, but then our fundraising was $800,000 US. That's how much we raised from the investment. We announced $500,000 because we have something we call tranches, which again is not fair to Africa, but in African investment, they do a lot of tranches. In the European markets, in the American markets, they just give you all the money. So the tranche base is more like for the first year, they give you half of the money or how much they think or you both think you need to run the business. And then they reassess the company again after a year, and then they invest that remaining amount. So that's the tranche. But then, what are the technical bits of these investments? So the investor, in his mind, is thinking through how much he wants to make in a certain year. Maybe let's give a number. Let's say 4 years. He wants to double his investment. So in this case, the investment is 500,000. He wants to maybe multiply by 4. That's $2 million in 4 years. So he's thinking, how can he get that money? So we sit down and then we structure what we call KPIs. KPIs are, key metrics that you want to target. And these key metrics will direct you towards that goal. And the goal is, okay, he wants to like multiply his investment by 4. So these KPIs, we sit down, we negotiate. Sometimes the investors want to be too aggressive with growth. And you, the CEO or the co-founder, you need to sometimes come back and say, hey, I know you're bringing in money, but then the market is not ready for this kind of growth now. Maybe.
That test was to see if you do it in 5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Obviously, you have so much to say, and it's amazing, but we do have to stick to time.
Right.
But I'm so impressed. Can we give him a hand, please? Well done.